What's up guys, JayzTwoCents here, and you know, there's something that I think we all deal with as the graphics cards keep getting bigger and more powerful and stronger, and that being the problem of GPU erectile dysfunction. Basically, they're sagging all over the place, and I've seen lots of different people try to come up with different ways of dealing with the CPU or the GPU droop by having little posts here. I've even seen people use fishing line tied to the top. But today I'm gonna show you a method that I kind of came up with. Don't know if anyone else has done it. If so, good for you. But I haven't personally seen this, and I used it on my last couple builds on how to fix GPU sag, regardless of how big or heavy your GPU is, for free. Free being the key word in this.
Save money while simplifying your gift shopping this year with MassDrop. Get high-quality products at amazing prices like the XEMU Purple Heart headphones. Featuring handcrafted solid wood enclosures providing a warm, non-fatiguing sound signature, easy-to-drive design making them perfect for cell phones and portable MP3 players without requiring an amp, all while weighing less than a half a pound, making the EMU Purple Hearts an ideal choice for travel. Sign up for MassDrop is always free, so to see what's dropping this holiday season, head to MassDrop via the link below.
So I've got two GPUs right here. Both of them are fairly heavy, and that's what we're gonna be using as our subjects today. We've got the Asus Poseidon, which has a built-in air cooler and water block. So of course you've got the weight of that. And then the ever gigantic Zotac Arctic Storm, which is basically a water-cooled amp card, again with a full cover water block on there, adding quite a bit of weight. But what you're gonna see right here will apply to pretty much any graphics card, big or small, and just about any mass-produced case. And I looked at a few cases here to make sure that what I'm about to do would work. It does appear that it would, and so your mileage may vary, but any mass-produced case will probably have the same issue. Now to first understand GPU sag, you've got to see it, you've got to figure out why it's sagging. Now backplates are things that companies have come up with for both aesthetics and also to give a little bit of rigidity, because a lot of GPU sag, folks have pretty much come to the conclusion, is because of the weight of the card and the bowing and flexing of the PCB causing sort of a flex downward, so the back plates are supposed to help with that. But all that happens now is you get the whole card that sags down. Do you see all this movement right here? The problem is if you get in here, Nick, too, you can see this movement is directly on the socket as well as the pins, and we don't want that. Actually, how bad is this one sagging? Oh yeah, there's definitely sag in that one. Not as bad as others, but you can see it's definitely lower right here. The top screw hole here takes a lot of the sag stress. As you can see, as I move it up and down, you can see the bracket moving. Now what I would usually do is drop the screw. So one of the things I would do is I would keep this screw kind of loose, and I would take the end of the card right here and push it up as high as I can. Sometimes it feels uncomfortable because you're like bending the card, but push it up real tight, and then tighten down that screw as much as I can. Sometimes it'll hold, but in this case, you can see it goes right back down. Now that got me thinking, look back here. Do you see this part of the graphics card right there? That's basically this. Do you see these little tabs that push in? This is where it actually goes and slots in to the PCI Express slot. Now you see how these sort of taper? They taper in a little bit, which means we have some play like this, up and down. So when this corner comes down, this corner comes up, kind of like a cantilever. So if you watch right now, when I play with the flex, ladies, you can see that corner right there is moving up and down. So this is actually where you fix your sag. Everyone kind of focuses here on the end of the graphics card, but this is not the problem. Back here is, and this is kind of the problem with mass-produced cases. Everyone just sort of comes up with these slots. You know, the slots where the graphics card will thread in there. In fact, you can kind of see right here what I'm talking about. So here's the PCI Express slots. You can see where they just sort of slot into there. If you move around to the back of your case, you can see the little metal tab sticking through. Now watch what happens when I mess with the card. You see all that wiggle? What we want to do is we want to push those down. The problem is these little tabs, these little narrow tabs right here, are narrower than the slot. So that's what's actually, this is what supports the card. This does. Not the screws, not this part right here. This is what supports the whole weight of the card. So this is all I do. It's just this simple. And the reason why it's free is because you all have these screws that came with your cases, and it's simple enough. So I take an M3 screw, and all I do is, believe it or not, I just thread it in to the hole. There's so many innuendos in this video. But I just threaded into the hole right here. I see there's a hole. It's actually not a hole. It's just a slot. The thing is, the M3 threading right here is perfect to just sort of thread itself right into that gap. Now it's gonna spread the metal a little bit, but trust me, this is worth it. So what I'll do is I'll take the end of the card, push it up so that you can see I'm making a little more space, and then just get it started. Just like that, and tighten her down. It is literally that simple. You won't see it from the other side. The screw is creating a wedge. Just go until it kind of snaps, because all it did was like kind of pop the metal back. Now we have a fully supported GPU with no more sag. And you can see it's a lot more rigid. But if you look at it now, you can see there is very little sag compared to before. And in fact, if you want to just be, if you want to do your due diligence, you can do it on both sides. So let's go and try it now with the water block graphics card. So you got to remove this screw though every time you go to take the graphics card out, just for the sake of dropping screws, because that's what I really like to do. Now this is actually quite the test too, because this case has a very thin steel metal. It's very flimsy. I mean, you can kind of see, watch this. I mean, you can see how much this whole thing is flexing right here. And when this metal is supposed to be supporting the whole graphics card, it's definitely a challenge. So let's see what happens here. We put in the water-cooled card, but you can certainly see back there right now, Nick, if you get in there tight, you can actually see just how much movement there is back there. And you can see how when I lift up on the right corner, that corner goes down. You see that? Because this is our cantilever point right here. That's where the action is. So when we go up here, it goes down there, which is why we wedge that screw in there. Back to how much are we sagging right now? Let's see. Actually not too bad, but you can see we could certainly get that up a little bit higher, a little bit more supported. But these screws, these are typically just tossed. I mean, usually they'll give you more screws than you need with the cases, spare screws. That's why this is free. Once we thread this guy in there, look at that. No more movement whatsoever. And there's our graphics card. So what if you come across a case where those slots aren't actually the problem? So what I've got right here is the amp, or the Zotac Amp Extreme. It's a very long card. You can see we have a lot of play right here. You can see there's a little bit moving in the back like I showed you, but the problem is if you turn around and look at the back of this case, this is a Cooler Master case right here. It's one of the Maker 5 cases, but you can see it's actually manufactured really well, where there's not much movement back here, and the slots are actually small enough to where I couldn't get a screw in there without drilling a hole anyway. So that's telling me this isn't our problem. So upon further inspection, you can see the problem is actually the way that this card is manufactured. And this one's got a lot of sag. The issue here is if you look right here, if I can turn off the light. If you look right here, you can see, look at all this sag. I mean, this card's fully mounted right here. But what's happening here is the card has no support with the cooler to that bracket. So it's just sort of floating right here. So if I was to take something like, say, just to show you for demonstrational purposes, if I wedged my screwdriver up in there, look at that, our sag is gone. So that's actually more of a card manufacturing problem where they just didn't give enough support on the bottom side of the card. So if you look right here on this card, you can see once again, it's kind of the same issue. See all this flex right here? This is where the sag is coming from. So it has nothing to do with the mounting mechanism. So what I would do in this situation is I would find something to sort of wedge up in there that isn't too aesthetically unpleasing to give our card a little bit of support. This, I don't think is going to work. That wasn't enough. But let's see if we can come up with something. So what I want to do is I want to support kind of right here in the middle of the card. Because if I put my screwdriver back in there, you can see if I wedge it sort of right there, that takes care of most of the sag. So I found this little thing, this little 3M wire clip retainer thing. I don't even know where I got it. It was in my toolbox. But I would go with something non-metallic. We don't want to be shoving metal parts up inside of our GPU. Let's see if this helps. If it does, the nice part is this is, it's got its own adhesive on it. So I could actually adhesive that in place. But that was not enough. So we need more. You can see, if I turn that, just how much flex there is down there. Because you can see that that's where the problem is. So look at all of that flex is because of the way they attached the cooler with no support right here. So I just stuck these two things together, seeing if that gives me enough. Because I don't want this to be too permanent, but I want it to work. Is that helping? Yeah, that's helping. There. So that actually worked. It's not too ugly, and now we've got a level card. Does that look level to you? Looks pretty level to me. But to prove it, let's knock it out and see what happens. Oh yeah, you see it sag the second I popped it out? So this is where you just have to get kind of creative, right, to come up with solutions. But these are the two major reasons that you would find a GPU sagging. Case manufacturers that come up with their own brackets and stuff to support the end of the card. Sometimes it wouldn't be necessary though if the card was manufactured in a way where it wouldn't sag. Those are the two methods I kind of use when it comes to dealing with GPU sag. If you've got a cool method, make sure you put it down in the description below. I'm awfully pink because I'm standing in front of our nice cool stage lights. But anyway, I'm gonna go, guys. Also too, if you've been missing any sort of the notifications, click the bell below this video. YouTube's at it again. If you guys don't wanna miss any videos, click that. Otherwise, get to it when you get to it. I'm gonna go. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.